Hi guys, this this is amazing. This is a amazing. Good day. It's been a while since I've been on here. I'm just trying out a new software today, but we're also encouraging people on how to write their book and get on with their New Year's resolutions instead of the resolutions that we tend to make and that we don't stick with. Here's one we can stick with. Everybody has a story to share. I was just talking to a buddy of mine this morning on a Zoom call, and I was talking to him about the trauma and the drama that we have all been through, the education that we have received in life. And I think i- it's um, it's important for us to, not only have these resolutions, but I think we need to have a revolution. We need to begin to change what we think about, change what we speak about, and we'll begin to change what we bring about. But to have a New Year's revolution, not just a resolution. And so I'm trying out this new software, and they just gave me the ability to go live out to Instagram. So now I can do this from my computer. So I'm as giddy as a schoolboy. I'm as happy as a lark. So I can go out to Instagram, I can go out to Facebook and LinkedIn. Technology is amazing, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. I was just sharing with him. Think about all the stuff that you have been through, what you have learned. Have you learned sales in your life? Have you learned how to be in business in your life? Maybe you're doing something completely different than the education that you have received. But isn't it a possibility that you could actually be helping someone along the way? You could be helping someone with that education that you received. I like to talk about multiple streams of income because if you only have one stream of income, if that stream of income goes kaput, what then? But if you have multiple streams of income, you can do more, be more, and have more in your life. There's no deity up there that says that you must be poor. In fact, the Bible reads, He's given every man the power to get wealth. Now, I just had this conversation earlier today with a buddy of mine, and I said, "What if the writers of the Quran, um, the the writers of the Bible, the writers of people in the past, decided not to write it, decided not to be there? The things that giving hope to people, where would we be?" So I would challenge you, if you're watching, if you're coming on this later, that do you have a book you could write? Do you have a story that you could share and that you could tell? Perhaps that's today. This is Saturday. So, how can you write a book today with the technology that's available to you? Um, I'm just utilizing this new software, but if you're interested in learning a few things, I can show you. But number one, what would you write about? And who would you serve? What problems have you faced in your life? What trauma have you gone through? I mean, has there been any trauma, drama, mama? What stories of old? What has been your education? Just sharing with him that it would be interesting if people could package their knowledge and be able to sell it. Maybe you are a grandparent, but you raised some incredible kids and through hell and back. Maybe you went through some stuff that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy to get you to where you are today. How could you help somebody? Could you package that in not only a book, but also a course? Could you package that in such a way that would help them? I think you could. I think you could. You know, who could you serve? And what could you do differently? Number one, figure out what you want to write about. I have utilized some tools, and let me share some of those tools right now. I have utilized some tools. One is called ChatGPT. Okay. Now, I do not ask ChatGPT to write a book for me. Okay. But I do ask ChatGPT to help me come up with some titles that are intriguing. Number two, to help me come up with some titles that I could talk about, some topics within the book. That I also tell ChatGPT that I'd like to create a course with this as well. And when it comes up with the titles, I ask it to give me the titles with bullet points. And then I take those same titles and I will do a video on each title, kind of like the video I'm doing now. I will choose to do it either on Facebook or Instagram or something along those lines. But if I do it on Facebook, I'll do a live video, and it could either be in a group that I've set up myself, or it could be on my private page. Doesn't matter. But I will do a. I like to also utilize Zoom a lot because that way I can don't have to worry about anything like you're seeing some background issues with my camera and all that. What I do though is on Zoom is I background and I will have, even if I don't have a green screen, I have one within Zoom. And then I will record the meeting as if I was talking to thousands, even if I'm only talking to myself. But I can go through each of those modules that ChatGPT gave me, and I could put those videos together, and I can take about 60 minutes. And once I'm done with a one module, I will go on to the next module within the same video. And I've looked at it this way: if I cannot talk about the subject matter for an hour or more, probably doesn't need to be what I'm looking at. So, but I am impressed with this technology about what we can do now on video. I'm using something called um, Restream, and I'm amazed with the technology so far that I can be going out to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram all at the same time. Now, I haven't been on any of those platforms in a while, so the algorithms, you still, even when you do a live video, you still have to put up with the algorithms. And if you haven't been engaging and been on in a while, chances are the algorithms aren't going to pick you up right away, and you're not going to get as many people as if you were doing this consistently. But if you start doing this consistently, you'll start building a consistent audience. But if you do Zoom meetings, you can do Zoom meetings, have your own Zoom for, I set for like an hour, and I do 10-minute modules. You can say a lot in 10 minutes. And then there's other software that you can take and you can have that module recorded. And then once the module's recorded, you can take and you can drop it into that software. And that software will transcribe what you just spoke about for 10 minutes. Now you're not plagiarizing. You're not using anybody else's material. You might say some things that you've heard along the way, but it's coming from original thought, coming from you, um, and you can talk about it. For instance, I wrote a book um, called "The Six Keys That Will Unlock Any Door," and the first, and I got these from Think and Grow Rich. The keys are as follows. Number one, write down what you want. Number two, write down a date by when you want it. Number three, write down a service you want to give in exchange for it. Number four, write out a plan of how you intend to bring the service to the surface. Number five, write out a life statement of how you how you feel now that you have it. And number six, read these statements and goals out loud twice daily with emotion, seeing yourself, feeling yourself, and believing you're already in possession of the thing that you want, even if you're not. Now, then I go back through each of those steps. Why is it important to write things down anyway? There is power in the written word, especially when it comes from an originated thought from you. And then when you write it down, you have a point of contact for something that you have written. There's power in the written word. And when you write it down, it becomes a living, breathing thing. It becomes a physical thing from the invisible. So, this is why it's so good to write things down. And so, then that's the importance of writing it down. Number one, write down what you want. Number two, write down and be specific about what you want. Don't just write it down. Oh, I'd like to have a bigger house. What kind of house? How bigger? How much bigger house? What kind of house? What's it look like? Write down the colors and be as vivid as you possibly can. And then write down a date by when you want it. This is where a lot of people get mixed up. See, I would take that first point that I just did. And again, it can come from anything. Your ideas for a book could come from another book. When I read this book, Think and Grow Rich, there's another chapter that another passage in that book that is simple. It says, thoughts are things and powerful things at that when they're mixed with a definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their attainment. Then I looked up in Romans 12:2. It says, be no longer conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you can test and approve the will of God for your life, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And I got to thinking, my gosh, this goes right along with thoughts or things and powerful things at that when they're mixed with a definiteness of purpose, persistence, and burning desire for their attainment. So I just got an idea for four chapters in a book. Thoughts are things and powerful things at that. Number one, definite purpose. Number two, persistence. Number three, and a burning desire. Number four, easy peasy, right? Not that hard. And then if you're excited about the project, it's good. See, for me, it's the power of the mind and how the mind works and goals and all that type of thing. But for you, it could be bicycling, it could be cooking, it could be anything. It could be parenting. Think about an issue that you had with one of your children. Case in point, when I was 8 years old, my mom took me to a Kmart. I asked her if I could go to the toys. She said, Johnny, sure, but don't ask for anything. Well, I was a stupid young kid, and I asked for something. Oh, boy, did I ask for something. She said, Johnny, no, I asked, told you to put it back. So I did the next logical thing. I threw a temper tantrum right in front of God and everybody right out in the Kmart. I threw a temper tantrum. Well, my mom wasn't going to have that. And this was 30 years ago, guys, 40, 50 years ago. She picked me up by my arm, about ripped my arm out of my arm socket, and pulled down my pants and proceeded to beat me with the toy that I wanted in front of God and everybody. Needless to say, that never happened again. And to this day, every time I go to purchase something in a store, I'm always looking behind my shoulder to see if my mom's okay with it. That's that's how the power of imprint. That's the power of things. So if you have situations like that, maybe it's parenting, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's life, maybe it's sex, maybe it's relationships, whatever it is, what could you write about? Who could you help? What education have you received? What's that education cost you? What trauma have you been through? What drama have you been through? Who could you help? Isn't it today a good time to start? Isn't today a good time? That's what I would believe. Be the miracle, be the transformation you want to see. So the next thing I do, okay, so I've got 4 chapters in a book: thoughts are things, powerful things at that, mixed with the definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire. Okay, I've got 4 chapters, but then I could even expound on that and go over to Romans chapter 12, verse 2. This is where it says, be no longer conformed. And I could start with, don't be a conformer, be a transformer. And I could talk about how we conform to the wrong percentage group. And if we want to transform, all we got to do is just change our thoughts. See, I'm constructing a book right now. I could take the same information that I'm giving you right now, and I could have it downloaded and then uploaded into a software, and that software would transcribe everything that I'm sharing today. But then also these videos that I'm creating could go into a course later as well. So I not only have a book, but I also have a course. And then I've got the audio to go along with it. And then if anybody likes what I'm sharing on my LinkedIn or on my Facebook or on my YouTube or on my Zoom, whatever it is, I can go back and I can see what they have said, the comments that they have posted, and then I can also get testimonials later. So that's the power of technology that you have available. But whether or not anybody watches me or not, I'm still creating content that I can utilize for others.